Every single day, you probably hold it in your hands. You fold it, you spend it, you stuff it into your pocket, and let's be honest, you probably rarely stop to think about what it actually is. We're talking about paper money. But here's the secret. The paper inside America's currency isn't ordinary paper at all. It is a highly engineered marvel of durability and security. And its hidden foundation? Well, it's been manufactured by the exact same American company for generations. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're tracing the absolutely incredible 250-year-old story of Crane & Company.
Seriously, I want you to pause for just a second the next time you have a dollar bill in your hand. What are you actually holding? It's not just ink on a page, right? You are holding the final product of a manufacturing tradition that reaches all the way back to colonial America. It is quite literally an engineered history of trust.
Okay, let's dive right into this, because ordinary paper simply isn't good enough to be money. You know the drill with normal paper, the kind in your printer. It's made from wood pulp, it tears easily, and if it gets wet, forget about it, it falls apart. But currency paper is a highly specific blend of 75% cotton and 25% linen. Just think about what a banknote has to survive. It passes through thousands of hands. It gets crushed in pockets, exposed to moisture, accidentally sent through the laundry. It requires an extraordinarily durable material to survive that kind of journey.
Section 1. Rags to the Revolution.
To really understand how we got here, we've got to rewind all the way back to 1770s Massachusetts. The American Revolution was brewing, and it was driving a massive, urgent need for paper. They needed it to fuel communication, print pamphlets, newspapers, and eventually the financial documents of a brand new government. It was in 1770 that a man named Zenas Crane gets involved in the papermaking business. And get this, just 5 years later, in 1775, none other than Paul Revere uses Zenas Crane's special security-type paper to print the very first colonial banknotes. Talk about cementing a legacy of trust right from the jump. Then, in 1801, his son Zenas Crane sets up his own mill in the small town of Dalton, Massachusetts, picking a spot with plenty of wood, water, and local people to help supply the raw materials.
Now, what's really wild to think about is the sheer contrast between today's high-tech manufacturing and the intense manual labor of the 18th century rag room. Back then, papermaking relied heavily on local housewives providing old, tough, homemade linen rags to the mill. Workers would process those old cloth rags into pulp, suspend that pulp in water, dip a wooden screen into the mixture, drain the water out to leave just the fibers, and then press and dry the individual sheets, literally one sheet at a time. It was incredibly slow, backbreaking work, but man, it established a tradition of uncompromising quality that stuck.
Section 2. Engineering the dollar. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive problem that popped up as we moved into the 19th century. The landscape of money changed drastically, bringing a huge issue: counterfeiting. With local banks printing their own money, criminals were literally just taking $1 bills and altering them into $10 bills by adding a zero. So Crane could no longer just be simple papermakers, they had to become security engineers to protect the value of the currency itself. Their ingenious solution? In 1844, they started embedding silk threads vertically directly into the paper right during the manufacturing process. It was a genius way to mark denominations. One thread meant a $1 bill, two threads meant a $2 bill, and so on. It was a physical security feature that stopped counterfeiters dead in their tracks.
That single innovation completely set the stage for their greatest milestone. In 1879, W. Murray Crane won the sole U.S. Treasury contract to supply paper for American currency, beating out the competition with the new security paper based on those very silk threads. And here's the kicker: to this day, Crane still produces the paper for the U.S. dollar. Why? Because when you're making the monetary infrastructure for the United States, failure simply isn't an option. They just kept innovating, shifting to scattered red and blue threads in 1928 to further foil counterfeiters, and by 2002, they were so trusted they even took over banknote production for the Swedish Central Bank.
Section 3. Mastering the Medium.
See, Crane's story isn't just about money. To survive devastating economic depressions and the resource shortages of 2 world wars, they had to get incredibly creative. They had to become absolute masters of the paper medium itself. And this led to some wonderfully bizarre and resilient products. Like, when a fashion fad hit after the Civil War, Crane manufactured stiff, sweat-resistant men's paper collars. While developing that, they invented paper belts to drive heavy machinery, belts that wouldn't slip or stretch like rubber or leather would. They even made 15-foot-long lightweight paper boats, and my personal favorite, massive architectural paper domes. They built one weighing 2,500 pounds for the U.S. Military Academy that stood for nearly 80 years. Fast forward to 1993, they even created a 100% denim paper for Levi Strauss made entirely from recycled blue jean scraps.
Which leads me to this fantastic historical nugget from 1994. Crane introduced a line of distinctive stationery literally called Old Money. It was made from recycled, shredded US dollar bills. Rather than trying to strip the dark ink out, which honestly would have created a massive waste problem, they left the ink right in. It gave the new stationery the literal color of money. Every single ream of this paper contained nearly $15,000 worth of shredded, recycled currency. Now that is writing on a valuable piece of paper.
Section 4. Cash in a digital world.
Now we have to address the elephant in the room. We're in the modern era. With credit cards, digital wallets, and tapping your phone to pay, why does physical cash even matter anymore? Well, the truth is, during crises and pandemics, demand for physical cash actually shoots up. It remains highly relevant, deeply trusted, and to maintain that trust, it has to be highly engineered. Enter the ultimate contrast to that 18th century rag paper, micro-optics. Crane now integrates these tiny, high-definition images directly into the paper that appear to animate or move when you tilt a bill. It isn't just a sticker slapped on top, it's woven right into the material. It's incredibly easy for you and me to recognize, but incredibly difficult for a counterfeiter to copy. Today, Crane embeds these micro-optics in over 100 different banknotes worldwide.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that banknotes don't just need to be secure, they must endure. They have to withstand sweat, dirt, and heavy use without falling apart. Take the Swedish 20 krona note, for instance. It initially had a terribly short lifespan of just 6 to 9 months because it was used so heavily. Crane solved this by developing a sustainable anti-soiling treatment made from cotton waste from the textile industry. This endurance technology vastly extended the life of the notes by 2 to 3 times, keeping them in circulation much, much longer.
When they say history is literally printed on their products, they aren't kidding. From a colonial craftsman hand-pressing one sheet at a time to security engineers weaving micro-optics into the fabric of over 100 global currencies, Crane's 250-year evolution of trust is truly astounding. When you hold a banknote, you aren't just holding purchasing power. You are holding an invisible legacy of innovation hiding right there in your wallet. It really makes you wonder, what other incredible stories of history and engineering are sitting right in our pockets, just waiting to be noticed?